Okay, folks, welcome back to the shop. Today we are working with a Winchester shotgun. This is the Super X3. Um, for the most part, the disassembly and reassembly of this gun will work for the Super X2s, 3s, and 4s, the Fabrique Nationale SLP series shotguns, the Browning Silvers, and the Browning Golds. They are all but identical guns. They use the same operating system, same gas system, everything. I do not believe the original Super X shotgun, the parts are not interchangeable with this gun. The Super X2s, and from the Super X2 on, it was a slightly different gun, so parts are not interchangeable. But I think everything from the Super X2 to the 4 are the same with some minor modifications along the way. The Super X3 is just a lighter gun than the 2. But they make these things in 3.5s. They make sporting competition versions of them and carbon fiber handguard versions of them, and they make, tactical versions of them, everything else. But they're excellent, excellent shotguns. They are very soft recoiling guns. Like any other gas gun, they typically get dirty and they will slow down if they're not maintained. But outside of that, man, just keep it, lubed and clean. They run fantastically. I personally own a Super X2 in 3.5, and it'll chew up 2 3/4, like even the garbage stuff you buy at Wally World or whatever else. It's never failed me, so they're pretty damn good guns. Most of this gun comes down just like the rest of your guns. Almost all of these semi-auto shotguns, and they all kind of come apart the same way, man. We're going to start with the magazine cap. Take our fore end off there. Let me set that over. This one's pretty dirty, so it's kind of tight, the barrel. Good Lord. Yeah, see, this guy hasn't taken very good care of this. Nothing special about the chokes, man. They just pop right out. I say that. I'll do that in here a second. Choke comes out like any other choke, man. Choke wrench, take choke out. This is your gas piston. This is what auto-regulates from all the various types of ammunition. This is what regulates it. It's supposed to be, I don't know what they call it, that auto-regulating system, and it works pretty good. Don't take this apart. If something's wrong with it, either send it back to Winchester or buy a new one. Don't take this apart. There's some pretty good-sized springs in there. And without the proper spanner, it looks like somebody's already tried to take this thing apart, man, and just beat the shit out of it doing it. And that's what happens, man. You end up just tearing the spring apart or the casing, and you never do get it apart. Just soak it in some hoppies or whatever your solvent of choice is, even if it's just CLP. Brush it down inside and out real good, and send it. This is just kind of an extension of the piston. This is polymer with a steel rod on it. This is what actually contacts the bolt to send it back. Spring just sends that forward. That's all it's doing. Now this spring just makes this go forward, nothing else. The action spring's back here in the little stinger. Bolt home there. You got 2 trigger pins. Push those out. I'll start putting things in the basket here because it's going to go in the sonic cleaner. Obviously, that's why it's here. Trigger group here. I'm going to get the rest of the gun apart here, and then we'll focus on the trigger group. I'll get that apart for you so you can see how that does. These magazine tubes, instead of a spring cap up here where you've got to like kind of pry it out or whatever, this little plastic piece here detents into the tube itself. And all you really need to do is just get your finger over it and then just press that little plastic piece in so it clears the lip of the mag tube, and push it forward and hold on to it when you're prying it out of here, man, because it's like all those other springs, man. It'll go launching. And go. Magazine spring. There's your end cap. Obviously your limiter. Let's see. The follower in this gun's plastic. I don't know. I don't think they were ever aluminum. I think the competition one's got an aluminum one, but I can't remember. Charging handle just pulls straight out. And bolt end carrier will come out the front. A couple of things to note on this. The firing pin here is held in. This pin is staked, so unless you're replacing the firing pin or its spring, leave that alone. You'll regret it. Same thing with your extractor and its spring. The pin's staked. Leave them there unless you absolutely have to replace them or something. Just leave them. There's one more, the pin for the little tail here. That's also staked. It's pressed in. Don't take that out. And then the detent for your charging handle is a roll pin right there. So if something happens to that detent, it gets stuck and you're losing charging handles and stuff, just knock that little roll pin out. You can get new springs, you can get new plungers. Parts are readily available for this gun pretty much anywhere. That's all there is to the bolt and its carrier. Another thing that I'm not going to be taking out of the gun is this is both the shell latch and the bolt release here. Those, because of the springs that are behind them and it is in two pieces, they're kind of a pain in the butt. So if you need to take that out and repair it for some reason, you can see here there's like two separate pieces in here. It's just a pin. You should be able to just push it through. I don't know if you see the hole there. It just pushes through. I wouldn't, if that needs to be worked on, send it back to a factory or take it to a proper gunsmith, because that's nightmarish to get back in these guns. This guy is actually tapped and drilled and tapped for some sort of red dot mount. I'm not sure what he does with that. I've never seen the optic on it, so we are going to remove the buttstock and all of its recoil stuff there. When you're talking about these rubber butt pads like this, this is a buttstock kind of butt pad, I guess, specific bit that most gunsmith bit sets will have in them. I put a little bit of Vaseline on them, you got to use some lube. Use some lube. And it keeps from tearing the pad when you get in there and you get that screw. But that's it there. Pad comes off. Now we got to get all the recoily bits out of there. There's a big nut down in there. Give me a second here and I'll even tell you what size that nut is, because I just use this socket here, which is a 19 millimeter. Yep. Had it right the first time. No? There we go. Usually I vice this up when I'm doing all this recoily bit stuff, just because it's a third hand. Makes it a lot easier to get things back together. But since you are obviously here to watch me do this, put my lube away. We're done there. So many threads. Holy shit. There we go. Finally. Now the spacer and stuff that goes in there, I'll show you this again when we put it back together. But you'll see where exactly this goes into the stock. And this rides in there. It's kind of semi-domed. Nope, I'm lying to you here. That sits flat on the plate there, and then the nut goes around that, and it kind of auto centers the stock a little bit. Nothing real special. The recoil spring in here is like most all the other ones. I just take a punch, pull the pressure off of it a little bit. Let's get a block underneath this here. Take some of the pressure off, knock the little pin out. Hopefully not lose it. This is another one of those guns, dude, that this thing's going to come launching out of here. So be prepared to catch it. And and that's all that is there, man. They should stay on the end there, but yeah, look how dirty that is. Gross. That's it. Some of the things that constantly have to be replaced on this gun, and the parts are readily available, like I said, is there's a little plastic buffer back here. Let's see if I can... Right there. You see that buffer in there? It dries up, it cracks, and it breaks. They're easy to replace, but it'll jam the gun up. It will jam the gun up for sure. This little pad is for it's a cushion for the back of the. It keeps the trigger group tight and from rattling around in there. You can find these two. They're cheap and easy to replace. That's all there is there. Now, as far as our trigger group goes, these are super simple. They're just not complex. This pin here is held in by a little what do you call those, dude? Cotter pin, like a little tiny cotter pin that almost went into orbit. Got that. This pin will come out. This guy here, before you pull this pin out, you're going to want to hold on to this because this is going to go launching. But you just reach in there, pry up on it, and this little rod and spring comes out, and this little metal piece will come out. And this one is plastic. The insert here on the carrier dog leg, you got to spin it and then knock it out of its little groove. Adjust my camera so you can see more of what I'm doing. There we go. Now we can pull this pin out here. Carrier dog. Now I'm going to click it over to fire. Take pressure off the hammer spring. This is the hammer springs back here. We'll push the pin out. Once you release the, if you let the hammer forward, the tension's off the spring, so it comes out with its follower. Fuck that go. Now you can pull your disconnector spring off. These, in this particular case, this little pin, tubey pin here with a little D-clip in it is just there. It's what your trigger group pins right in, and so that's really all that's for. And it also is a stops, an over travel or whatever for the trigger. Pull out this front one, pulls out just fine. That's what holds your hammer in. And now if you push this little pin out there, and you can take your trigger and your all that out at the same time, and that's how that rides in there. This pin may or may not fall out. I don't know. I don't take it apart just because it's not necessary. I'm just cleaning it. And this pin here may fall out on you. Like I said, if you lose them, you can get parts. They're available. Actually, I'm going to do that because I know it'll fall out with sonic cleaner. Now you have your sear down here. Punch that pin out there, and it travels. There's kind of a groove in here, so you've got to push it back and up to get it to come out. I mean, you can just kind of shake it. I don't bother pulling that spring out either unless it needs repair. I just leave it like that. There's a little buffer pad here. This is a carrier dog buffer pad or whatever. I don't know if you can see that one there. This one's like a dark red whatever. They either go missing or they'll dry up and break. You can replace those two. They're a couple bucks. The safety and its detent, this little flat spring in here is what holds that in. That's the safety spring. Looks like a little key. And now your safety should just pop right out. See, that's even dirty. That's gross. And this little detent will come out here. We'll get some little pliers. We'll grab it. And that's it, man. That's your whole trigger group there. I don't pull these out because I don't want to rip them or tear them or anything like that. But that's it. I mean, they're super simple guns. I don't think we've got more than, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes into this. But yeah, they're super simple, and they're super reliable guns. They work fantastic. Really soft shooting. So let me get it through my sonic cleaner, get it cleaned up, and then we'll put it back together.